Hello, Rasslin Rage fans. You are looking at one half of IPW's award-winning commentary team, chairwoman of IPW's Mental Wellness Task Force, 2021 IPW Rookie of the Year, Independence Pro Wrestling Champion, and sponsor of Rasslin Rage, Davison Sarai. Enjoy your stay. I think Cody's pretty cool. I think Dan's pretty alright. Fuck that other guy.
Oh!
It's going down.
This is Rasslin Rage.
It's going down.
This is Rasslin Rage.
Scream it out loud.
This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade.
It's going down.
This is Rasslin Rage.
We're doing now.
This is Rasslin Rage.
Scream it out loud.
This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade.
And now it's time for Rasslin Rage with your host, Cody Fleming.
Hey, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the interview portion of Rasslin Rage. This week, there are 3 interviews. We're starting out the week on Wednesday here, the 16th, with none other than the dirty white boy, Chuck Stein. Make sure you scroll down into the description. You follow him on his social media. And speaking of social media, you will see surrounded around the screen there are the MIW Rasslin Rage sponsors, starting out with 1/3 and one of your buddies and trios champion from Detroit Punk,
Yes,
the
sir.
Spyder, official sponsor, the Spyder. Also F5 Wrestling, the Blacksheep Justin Dream, Joe Broni, Davison Sarai, and PKSA Karate of Port Huron. That is exactly the spot where I earned my black belt, first degree and second degree, along with one weaponized master, Alex Weir, who trained all the way up to master in that dojo, pretty much the second half of his career in karate. Anyways,
Nice.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Welcome back, bro.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. So let's catch up a little bit. So what's going on? How you been? How's it going?
Well, right now I'm doing good, but it's been a rough couple months for me.
Oh yeah. Well, we were talking a little bit before we got into this portion where people could hear us, and you were saying you got COVID.
Yep, I had COVID last month.
Ugh.
It wasn't too. It put me down, but it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
it could have been worse, I'm sure.
so you got COVID, and so did you get COVID first, then the flu, or the flu then COVID? Because you said you got.
I got the flu like a week before I got COVID.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
So then you're
Yeah.
sick with the flu, then you get your ass kicked by COVID for a minute.
Yeah.
Right? And then you bounce back, and here we are now. So how long ago was that?
That was mid-January.
Okay. Now,
Mid-January.
I was at a Pro Wrestling All-Stars, and you were not there because you were injured.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about an injury. So what happened?
November 28th, I did a no ring deathmatch show. AWR came to Michigan. They're based out of Indiana, and they had a show at Simon's After Dark in Allen Park.
Okay.
And I faced Remington Roar. And midway through the match, I took a suplex on the concrete floor.
Ouch.
Solid move. I've watched it 100 times. Nothing went wrong with it. I ended up with 2 bulging discs in my back.
Ow.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I couldn't even stand up straight for a few weeks.
So, like, that wasn't a surgery, was it?
No.
No, did you go to the chiropractor and they knock you back into place, or what? Would you have
Nope,
that?
I just miraculously healed.
Oh, was that like miraculous conception and shit, or what? Like,
Probably, yeah. But yeah, I
you're healed.
Yep. Took a month off from the ring.
Okay.
Came back, gave it a test too here and there, and I think I'm good.
All right.
So,
Well, that's good.
go.
Well, Now, before the injury in Pro Wrestling All Stars, you at the 15th anniversary event, you went through you and your tag team partners went through pretty much all the tag teams at Pro Wrestling All Stars or trios, and became and won, and now are the trios champions, the first ever, right? The first ever
and only.
First and only so far, and you guys have defended those titles once now so far, correct?
Yeah, unfortunately, right after we won those belts was when I got injured, and yes, once so far.
Right, and that was against Hoss Fight.
Come.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, there's always ups and downs, man, right? You know, things happen, and I'll tell you what, Spyder's like married to that belt.
He takes it everywhere with him.
I knew one guy like that. There was a guy, I don't know if you know his name, is Eric Smalls, and he's a smaller stature, right? And he used to be on what the hell was the name of that show? But there was a show on one of them things, but it was like midget wrestling, and they were in the bars or whatever. But anyways, half pint brawlers, that's what it was, and he used to be called Half Pint Punk. But anyways,
nice.
He won the micro championship at Blue Water Championship Wrestling, and I swear to God, he slept with that thing every night. At least that's what he told everybody. I'm not exactly sure if that's true or not. But, coming up this weekend, if those of you out there, if you're watching this, or maybe you're listening to this over on Podbean or wherever you listen to your podcasts, every Tuesday we do this show here on the Rasslin Rage YouTube channel called Michigan Independent Weekly, where we tell you where all the shows or where events are taking place. I don't like calling them shows. I like calling them events. I don't know. It's just kind of this thing. It makes it more of a spectacle to me. But anyways, we give you all the information to the events that are taking place the weekend coming up. And one of those events is Horror Slam Bloodshed, and we had a venue change. So if you're, make sure you're heading over to Horror Slam's page or whatever, and you're getting updated. Is it at the Victory Gym?
Yes.
So it's
Victory Gym, Brownstown, Michigan.
Okay, so that's a pretty familiar place for Horror Slam and Pro Wrestling All-Star fans. Victory Gym. I like that venue. What a great venue that is. Anyways, I mean, even if it wasn't deathmatch wrestling, it's still a great venue. Right. They got a bar.
I just wish the ceilings were a little taller.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Maybe the ceiling, that's one thing. But they do have a bar, which is bonus. And they're not trying to give you highway robbery, right? They're not charging you $6 a beer. They're
not
only
at all.
$2. $2. And they have mixed drinks, too. If you really want to get a little wild, they have mixed
And you're supporting a good cause, too, because Victory Gym's a good place for vets. And
yeah. Well, and that's exactly it right there. And I know that, and I'm not sure what their deal is with Victory Gym, but I know like Steve's deal is they get 100% of the alcohol sales. So that's pretty badass. So that all goes to the veterans and to Victory Gym and what have you. But now, I don't know what it is, but we weren't able to find a lot of the matches that are going on this weekend at Bloodshed. Do you know who you're facing, or is it kind of like, I'm going to show up and we're going to figure it out, or what's happening?
Oh, no, it's Detroit Punk, me and Sean Lawhorn, facing Brutus Atwell and Madman Pondo.
Madman Pondo? Oh, boy.
Fans bring the weapons match.
Now, this, if I'm not mistaken, this isn't your first run in the ring with Pondo, am I right?
No, we've gone a couple times now.
Yeah. Now, he has an interesting, what is it like? Is it a thing with deathmatch wrestlers to have like their toy that they bring them? Because you have the baseball bat and barbed wire. Pondo has the baseball bat with the fucking buzzsaw, right? Yep. Everybody
and the stop sign
and a stop sign. Yep, you're right. But is that a thing?
It seems to be, huh?
It does. It's a thing. I don't know. I'm a little scared of both. I'm not a fan of barbed wire because I was running from somebody with a badge. We won't say any names. But but I was running one time and it was dark and I didn't see the barbed wire fence and I ran into it and then it like flipped over into the barbed wire fence, like all my forward momentum. And I still got out, but I ripped all my clothes and it was just like I looked like I escaped prison, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I'm not a fan of barbed wire. And that was like, I was 18. That was like 20 years ago, dude. You know, so, and you stick needles through your cheeks. Like,
yeah, that's that. I see that in the chat. Someone mentioned the syringes too. That's one of my things. That's pocket number 2.
Yeah, pocket
Syringes.
number 2.
Pocket number 1 has the staple gun. Pocket number 2 has the syringes.
So you and Lawhorn versus Brutus Atwell and Pondo. And is there any? Because I know a lot of times there'll be like a special match, like light tube something, whatever, or gusset plate. I don't know, craziness, right? But is there anything attached to this match?
It's just fans bring the weapons.
Fans bring the weapons.
Who knows what we're gonna have?
Now I gotta ask a question here, okay? Because I have a crazy friend named Josh Harper who enjoys collecting weapons of such and then bringing them in a golf bag, right? And it's like he obtained. Okay, so there was a fans bring the message or weapons match a while ago here in Port Huron area, and he had quite the collection, and he got a good portion of it back. But I forget, it was a deathmatch tournament, I believe, at TKW that most of his shit got lost because it just got destroyed, right?
That happens. That happens.
So let me ask you, is there anything that's too crazy to be involved in a fans bring the weapons match?
For me personally, my one thing that I absolutely hate is fire.
Fire? You're not a fire, so you're definitely not getting a flaming elbow from the top rope, huh? From DBA?
Nope.
Nope.
I think probably razor wire would be a bit extreme for me too.
Yeah, that's not really something I see a lot of, is razor wire. I mean, I see barbed wire. Do you know some crazy fuckers that use the razor wire? I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh my god! Like, it takes a certain kind of breed of person to do this, right? I mean, is there something you're doing before a match, knowing that you're going into a death match and you're possibly going to get gashed? Because I've seen you like at, what was it, F5, I think it was, and you had the night before you had a big death match, and you come in, you got this big gash. For those of you, as you can see in the picture behind me, he's got this big,
mohawk. That was Percy Drew.
Yeah. So
that was from a single light tube. I don't know if you can see it on there, but I need a haircut. I'm in the middle of getting my hair redone for the weekend.
Get my hair did.
Getting my hair did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm seeing this thing, and then in that same night, you're showing me this before the match, and then take a gusset plate to the same spot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So. Is there something you have to do? Do you have to align your chi? Do you got to pray to Buddha? Like, is there something you got to do before you do these things to get yourself able and willing to take a gusset plate to the dome?
Just got to have a couple beers and I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go. I can see that because I'm 17 foot tall and bulletproof by the time I got 3 in me. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, let's go. It's a good time.
I like to have a good time, man.
No toothpicks, says Colton Ryder Holland. He says no.
I hate toothpicks too. Like the toothpicks and pool noodles. Yeah, I could probably do without that.
So it says, this person says Chuck should be wrestling Big F and Joe on the following Horror Slam show.
Big F and Joe is going against returning Jeff King.
Yeah. I was on the west side of the state for the first time. Let me take that back. I wasn't on the west side for the first time. I attended wrestling on the west side for the first time. I was over there at Independence Pro Wrestling. They had an event at the Vandermill in Grand Rapids, and they had cider on tap, which was amazing, by the way. But yeah, he made a return there. He didn't wrestle, but him and LJ are going to have a fist of cuffs here soon. Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, he's got big Jeff King coming back, man. Been off for a while, but we're going
to see Jeff coming back.
Absolutely. You guys have tussled a few times.
Yep.
Tussled. That's a hell of a word.
Too. He's helped me a lot in the back too.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a pretty knowledgeable guy, right? I mean,
yeah, he is definitely.
He's been around, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but he's been wrestling for quite some time now, hasn't he?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Now, those of you out there that are into deathmatch wrestling, maybe you are, maybe you ain't, maybe you're just a Chuck Stein fan. Did you know that Chuck Stein is going to compete in another deathmatch tournament, but it's taking place in Horror Slam, right?
Yes, it is.
It's going to be a 2-day tournament.
2 days.
Is that in March, right?
Yes, March 17th and 18th.
March 17th and 18th. So explain. So I'm not privy to the deathmatch tournament thing, okay? I'm not. It's not I don't mind it. It's just not my cup of tea. I'll watch it if it's there, okay? But it's not, it's not something I'm going, oh man, right? Like Josh is psychotic. He's all about it. He wants you to bleed on him. He's weird. Anyways, tell me exactly, is it like an elimination tournament? Like what happens? You got to cut a motherfucker? What do you got to do?
I think it'll be like a standard tournament bracket from what I know.
Okay, and then so you just eliminate, you win, and then you go on to the next round?
Yep.
And it's just
as far as I know. I'm not positive, but I think that's how they're doing it.
Oh man. It's the only thing for me is the time, right? Not the match, but the after, right? Because there's the aftermath, right?
Yep.
The aftermath of a death match, and then you got to clean up, make sure you got all the shit out the ring, and then start another match, right? And it could take
the next one.
right. It could take a half hour, it could take 45 minutes to get all that shit cleaned up. That's the only thing that really, gets me, because I'm driving an hour from Detroit, hour and a half, 45 minutes.
Yep.
And so if the show don't start till 8 and you got 8 matches, that's a late night for me, brother.
I think that's why they kind of got it going for 2 nights.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to.
There's 16 people in it.
Right.
So,
really, and that's all you got to do. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to have any special attraction matches. Just do the tournament.
Right.
I mean, in itself, the tournament, in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, and I know I'm not a wrestler, blah, 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 whatever. But as a paying fan, in my opinion, I don't need a bunch of other shit. I just need the tournament.
Right, yeah, that's the selling point right there.
Right,
you don't need anything else.
Now, there was some people that were saying that this was the first deathmatch tournament. I don't think it is. I think this is actually the second or third, if I'm not mistaken. And if I'm not mistaken, you competed in one of those deathmatch tournaments, and it wasn't in TKW when you won
and won it.
Yeah, and you got that. That's when you won the AIWF Deathmatch Championship, is it not?
Yes, sir.
See, I know what the fuck I'm talking about, people. All right.
It's Horror Slam's first deathmatch tournament.
Yeah,
it's not the first deathmatch tournament in Michigan.
Okay. Well,
there's
now
in the UP also.
We're now everybody knows. Write that shit down. Put a fucking asterisk next to it or something and do what you got to do. I don't give a fuck, but I'm letting you know that's how it is. Okay. Awesome sauce for real. So I know we didn't hear about it until after. Like we knew it was happening, but we didn't get any information on it. And then now Joe Broni is doing the commentating for UPW up there in the UP.
Yep.
So you went to the UP as the AIWF Deathmatch Champion, and you did not leave as the AIWF Deathmatch Champion.
No, I did not.
Care to tell me what happened? Did they cheat or something?
Well, I didn't win. Unfortunately, I didn't.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to do something, man. Did they tie you up or?
Against Peter B. Beautiful. I think match 108, 109, something like that.
Somebody keeping track. There's got to be a
Somebody.
website somewhere that like shows, and then when like it's got the date, when, what promotion, who won. Do you guys like? Because like where there's like Wikipedia, right? And then like if you search like rivalries, like Michigan State, Michigan Ohio State, or whatever the rivalry is, wherever, and it'll give you the record of how many, who's the wins and losses for team. Do you guys know?
I have no idea right about. I have no idea.
Right.
But something tells me I beat him more than he's beaten me.
Yeah. Well, a lot of fans now, and including myself, we're interested in that stuff, the history of a feud or the history of the belt, right? Like one thing I gotta say, Pro Wrestling All Stars, Steve did a really good job of going back through and getting the history of his belts and putting that information out there.
Dude, that guy remembers some shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, he goes way back. It's like, man, I can't even remember what happened last week, dude.
Well, I mean, let's be perfectly honest here, and if this is me, just being honest with people, no bias, no nothing. In my opinion, when what I do, right, and I'm just a dude with a YouTube channel, doing my best to bring a light to something that I find very interesting, right? And at the end of the day, when you do things like that, right, and you put out some graphics and you put out that information for people, not just people like myself, but anybody, okay, in my opinion, it garners a little bit more interest, not only in the title, but in the organization. But then it also makes it easier for people like myself to talk about it. Because now I know. Right? And we can talk about it and we can have a conversation. And I have somewhere I can look back at and say, oh, yep, this is where that happened. This is when so-and-so beat so-and-so for that title.
And Steve he'll throw that out there at random times. Like, oh, here's the history of the world championship. Here's the history of the tag belt. Just seemingly random, Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that's a great thing. And I think that more organizations should do things like that, especially, we heard about it when COVID hit, the big reset, right? Everybody did the big reset, okay, and everything, washed their hands of everything that happened before and reset. And now you got new titles, the titles weren't held by anybody, and now we're going to crown new champions. Yeah. Right? And so, that's a perfect opportunity right there and say, okay, so from here on, this is what we've done. Because if you can't, if you're not in that level of remembering shit like that, like Steve, I think it's a great idea to keep that history. Like, in like an XICW, like DBA, he can remember all that shit about his belts too.
Oh yeah.
So and I guess there's a belt he won that's his, and nobody can steal it from him or some shit. I heard I don't know. I just heard some things. That's all I've heard.
What belt's that? The Downriver belt?
I don't know.
Downriver belt.
I don't know. Now I
don't think he's defended it in 7 years.
Right. Well, I hear there's going to be some wrestling returning over there to Grizzlies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Wyandotte. That's what I heard.
That's a good spot too.
Yeah. Nice ceiling there, though.
Yeah. Nice ceiling there.
Yeah. Are you, besides Horror Slam, and I know you've been getting out, before you got sick and what have you, but you've been going to other promotions and doing deathmatch shit. What are you booked anywhere else coming up besides Horror Slam?
So yeah, but actually we did kind of pass over one thing. If we could go back to it.
Sure, let's go.
On the Horror Slam show for the 27th.
Okay.
I will be facing Tommy Vendetta in a staple gun death match.
Ooh.
Which just got announced.
Which one's that?
That's the show with Big F and Joe.
Oh, so is that the deathmatch tournament?
No. February 27th.
Oh, Jesus, how many shows they doing?
All of them.
Well, it's Pro Wrestling All Stars and Horror Slam. Now we're gonna have a show every Thursday and Friday and Saturday. Like, you know what I'm saying? It'll be like You know, all right. So you got 27th. So you got this weekend. You got the 27th and
The
Horace.
25th, the 25th for Pro Wrestling All Stars too.
Oh my Lord! 25th for Pro Wrestling All Stars.
I haven't gotten a word, but hopefully we're defending the trios belts.
There you go. So then you said what, the 27th or the 26th? 27th, Horror Slam, Tommy Vendetta.
Yep, Staple Gun Death Match.
Oh my Lord! And then you got the tournament coming up.
Coming up.
That's in March.
That's March 17th, and I got this all written down, and I'm looking at it right now. I got to write it down.
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that.
Is March 17th and 18th, and right now I'm scheduled to be in Virginia on March 19th at Murder Speed Wrestling. We'll see how that goes. And I'm also scheduled to be in Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, March 5th for the New Jack show.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be me, Insane Lane, Raven Havoc, and Bull Bronson in a home run derby match.
Oh, explain.
Bats. Everything's a bat.
Just beat each other with bats, huh?
I don't know why they would be smart enough to agree to a match with me. I come with a bat.
So I got a couple questions coming in here from the chat. So I'm gonna hold on, just make sure. Okay, so this person says Chuck's had more matches with Pete than he's had colors of his mohawk.
Yeah, it's possible.
So, Chuck, have you ever been in Insane 8 or KOTD or Southern Sickness Cup?
I have not.
Okay. And then so this person says Tommy wrestles at RPW and ICW the day before this match with Chuck.
So that gives me the advantage.
Oh,
because I'll be rested. I'll have a 1 day rest.
That guy's crazy too, man.
Oh, I love Tommy, man. Tommy's great. I'm gonna beat him, but he's great.
He is definitely out of his mind.
He's doing big things. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And you know, he gets some guff sometimes, you know, and you see it in his posts. But he gets guff about doing deathmatch shit. And I remember shit, man. I don't know how long ago it was. I don't know if it was during COVID or after COVID. I mean, are we either after COVID? I mean, we're still in COVID, but
it seems like it's starting to go away, though.
Yeah, well,
the elections are coming up, so all of a sudden it's just kind of fading away.
Okay, here we go. All right,
they lifted the mask thing in Michigan.
I seen that. So we were talking with him, or I was talking with him, and he had mentioned his likeness for deathmatch wrestling and then his interest, and then it just kind of went from there and sparked, and then next thing you know, he is doing death matches and he is a deathmatch champion and all this crazy shit going on. But as I was saying, he gets guff from people for doing deathmatch wrestling, and I've even heard in conversations with, because obviously that's what I do. I talk to people. I'll be standing in line just like everybody else because that's what I do. I pay for my ticket just like everybody else because I'm not fucking special. But anyways, I'll be talking to the fans, be talking to the people waiting in line, right? And I'm having conversations and I'm hyping the event or hyping the show or, you know, doing whatever. I'm working it. And I was listening to these two guys and they were talking about Tommy Vendetta and how great he was. And they were kind of like, they were talking about how great he was and then talking about like, he doesn't need to do this to do that. Right. And it's like, but maybe
he likes to.
Right. Maybe, in my opinion, you know, like we got to do some things to get to certain places sometimes. Right. And I feel like that's kind of what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? He's dabbled. And now he enjoys himself. And if he's doing what he likes, leave him the fuck alone. And he's successful at it.
He's not doing just death matches either.
No.
He wrestles normal shows all the time.
Yeah. And that's some amazing shit. I mean, to be able to come into something like this, you know, there's always some negative motherfuckers around. and they always got some shit to say in or outside of the business, right? And for him to say "fuck you," I don't care. I'm still doing it, and he's still doing it, and he's successful at it. That's a big shout out to him for that, for sure.
Definitely.
Now, as far as the future goes, sir, what are we looking at? A healthy Chuck Stein, obviously, no injuries, no whammies, right? No whammies.
Right. That's what I'm hoping for.
We know your March is filling up, but going forward from that, there's things that you're looking forward to doing. Obviously, you're traveling outside the state. You're going down to Tennessee. You're going to Virginia. That's something the last time we talked about, you were talking about doing more of, and now you are. How's that going, by the way?
Oh, it's a blast, man. It's kind of wild, I'll get a message from somebody like, oh yeah, why don't you come out here and Slave to the Deathmatch tournament. I've been in it the last 2 years now. That's out in Colorado.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's like, they fly me out, which is pretty wild that someone's flying me in to do their show. It's still pretty crazy, but it's a blast.
Now when that happens, are you like, man, you got to humble yourself for a minute?
Oh, always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, I humble myself a lot because I have to.
Yeah.
I just have to.
Sometimes it's hard.
It is hard sometimes, right?
You just want to be like, guess what I just did? And,
Yeah, or conversations that I have with people or people that because I'm not going to lie. There's things I've seen and done that normal people aren't able to do. And I'm not allowed to talk about it. I mean, it's not that I'm not allowed, but I would lose the respect that I have if I did. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
And I don't want to lose that respect because I've spent almost going on 5 years building that fucking relationship, and I don't want to ruin it, right?
Right.
That's one thing that a lot of people got this all wrong, right? I believe, in my opinion, right? And I'm not saying that people that have been doing wrestling, right, like a trained professional wrestler, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're doing it wrong because I'm not disrespecting anybody like that. But what I'm saying is that, like, for instance, with what I do is people are going out and they're making as many contacts as they can and interviewing as many people as they can in the business throughout the whole country and so on and so forth, where I don't do that. I don't interview everybody and their fucking mother. I only interview usually Michigan talent. Now, if I've interviewed a couple other guys too, but I'm saying I usually only do Michigan talent. And I have created relationships with people, not only wrestlers, but promoters and fans. And I know there's people out there that don't fucking like me. The question is, do I give a fuck? No. But this is what it is. This is, we're creating relationships. You, as you're in a ring and you're creating a relationship with a fan, right?
Yep.
When you sell your merch, you're creating a relationship. When you talk to them, you're creating a relationship. That's what we're doing right now. We're creating relationships. I've created a relationship with you. And I think that's what sets Rage and MIW and myself apart from everybody else. And that's just my opinion. And that's where I have to humble myself sometimes, right? But let me ask you this, right? You remember that fucking show WWE did a while ago where they were bringing in like people coming in and they were trying to win the WWE contract? Tough Enough? That's what it was. Remember that?
Yep.
Okay. So I believe it was the first series, the first group of people. And they got Triple H in the ring and he's like, all right, you come in here, take a bump. You come in here and you take a bump. And then he gets in there and he does this whole speech about how that if you're not in this to be the very fucking best, get out. Stop wasting my fucking time. If you're not in it to be the champion, if you're not in it to do these things, you're wasting your fucking time. And I that's the way I kind of look at life, Rage, MIW, right? If I'm not in it to win it all, why am I even fucking doing it, dude? Right? Do you find is that an attitude that you Because I remember one time I sat down with Breyer too, and I asked Breyer about being in the ring with Sabu. Like that's, to me, I'm a fan, so that'd be a huge deal, right? I'm like, oh my God, that's Sabu. Oh, right. Okay. But to him, he goes, I remember him saying this. He goes, but you know what? To me, at that time, in my head, I was the very best. And he should feel privileged to be in that ring with me.
Yeah.
Is that an attitude you have to have?
Yeah, you do have to have that attitude at times.
How hard is that sometimes? Because I find it hard, right? Because I know I have to have that attitude sometimes, but then also you have to be humble, right? You have to, and I could take constructive criticism. I really can.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like people that don't have a fucking clue telling me what the hell I'm trying to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
that's why now it seems like some of the younger kids are coming to me for advice. I'm like, man, you're probably coming to the wrong guy. Don't do what I did. Don't do what I did.
So like, let me give you an example in your case, right? So a fan telling you something you should have did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're trained, they're not.
Right.
You get what I mean? It's like, That's what I mean. It's like, I don't like that shit. And it's hard for me to keep my mouth shut. I've always been that type of person that will be like, stand up and fuck you and stand up for what I believe in.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've always been that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. What's Chuck Stein looking to do? You're filling up March, obviously, and then April's coming up.
Yep.
Is there anything we're looking to do in the future?
I'm going to be at Astronomicon this year.
Oh, are you signing or are you just hanging out?
I'll be in the a booth with the Spooky Dust podcast guys.
Oh, okay, cool. Just hanging out and
that's April 23rd in Livonia.
Yeah, those of you that don't know, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall are supposed to be there.
Yeah. X-Pac too.
Yeah, X-Pac as well. So there's
Kid Gremlins is going to be there.
Oh shit! Yeah,
that's like one of my favorite movies. So, and then a bunch of people from Rob Zombie stuff.
Yeah, I haven't been to an Astronomicon. I wanted to go a couple times now, and I just wasn't able to go. And like I was going to the Motor City Comic Con for a while, and I would only go for. The first time I went all fucking out, right? Like, whoa, whoa, like spent way too much money. Okay. But I got like every fucking autograph known to man, right? And then that was the year that I met the Four Horsemen, the Hall of Fame Four Horsemen, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Barry Windham, Tully Blanchard, and then J.J. Dillon was with them too. And so I met those guys and I spent a fucking chunk of change on that, boy. Whoa. So anyways, and then the next year I went and I met Sting and Lita and Big Van Vader. And then I don't know. I like it's too fucking expensive, bro.
Oh, I'm sure. Sure.
Oh my God. Well, it's like you go to an indie show and say, whoever, Buff Bagwell, right? Buff Bagwell's doing a meet and greet at Horror Slam coming up, right?
Yep. Yeah, I don't know why Buff Bagwell's coming to Horror Slam, but he's coming.
Because he was talking about wanting to do a death match.
I saw that.
He was talking about, and I tagged him. I tagged Horror Slam and was like, you got a spot? And they were like, sure. And
all of a sudden, there he is.
Yeah, next thing you know, Buff Bagwell's coming to Horror Slam. But anyways, so, like Buff Bagwell. And where the fuck was I going with this? I just lost my train of thought. That's what happens when you smoke too much weed, bro. You know what I'm saying? I fucking lost it, dude. I was going on with something, and we were going, and I was there, and then I fucking lost it. But, Chuck versus Joel Bateman would be sweet.
That could be a possibility. He's in the deathmatch tournament.
Is he?
Yes, from Australia.
Ooh, I work with an Australian. They're quite the people. Well, they know how to party, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like they could probably outdrink all of us. I'm just saying. And they don't like Fosters either. So That's all a myth.
That's Australian for beer.
Right, yeah. No, that's a big myth, just so everybody knows. But for sure, dude. So, again, everybody, I want to remind you, down in the description, you can find all the links to Chuck Stein's social media. Follow him, like him, just so that you can stay up to date on where he's at, what he's doing, because, they, when he's not in Facebook jail, like all of us nowadays, we're all going to Facebook.
Currently in Facebook jail.
Yeah, you're in Facebook jail.
I said I wanted to punch Elon Musk in the face, and I got 30 days.
Oh, yeah, because you're inciting violence. I know. I see the same thing. I said that it was all about those Meyer posts, right? It was if you walk around having a conversation on your phone, on speakerphone, blah, 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 you should be punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
And they fucking tagged my ass for it, dude. I'm like, oh my God. I tried to fight it. They were like, no, fuck you. I didn't
even get the chance to fight it.
Yeah,
they just said
bastards.
No, 30 days.
Well, Stitches has been in Facebook jail for a while. I think he's done now. I think he's out. And then there's a few people that are in. I think I got like 24 more days left on my 30 days. This is my second 30-day ban, dude. Pretty soon they're going to take my Facebook from me.
The one time I did like 4 30-day bans in like the first 5 months of the year.
Oh my Lord.
They were dumb stuff.
Yeah, they don't like us speaking our opinions, but I guess we're violent people, whatever.
I mean,
Chuck Stein being violent.
That's what I do.
Go figure. There should be like a little clause on your page, like I incite violence, or something like that. I just like violence or whatever. I don't know. Maybe if you put that in there, you can get away with it. I don't know. They won't. They won't do that anymore. Now, again, everybody. I said down in the description, you got all that wonderful stuff down there. Also down there. Right. So this interview that we're doing right now, live streaming on YouTube, will be available on Podbean. That's where we host. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but Podbean is where we host our audio content. And then we upload it there, and then Podbean distributes it all over the interwebs. And I mean all over. Every podcast platform you can think of, Rasslin Rage and MIW is there. I promise you. I would also like to thank our sponsors again. The Spyder, 1/3 of the Detroit Punks. F5 Wrestling, all their links are down in the description as well. Blacksheep, Justin Dream, who also will be at Horror Slam this weekend. Joe Broni, he's taking on Satu Jin. Yikes.
He is.
Yeah, that's it's not a guy I want to face.
I've been there.
I'm a secondary black belt in Tung Sudo. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I'm a pussy, but holy Lord, I mean, I'm a brick breaking champion. All right, I can bust that shit up, but I'm not getting into no ring or in no fight with Satu Jin. There's just some things you just don't do, and that's one of them, right? Okay, that's one of them. But F5 Wrestling, Joe Broni, who is the I wouldn't say ring announcer, but he's the play-by-play or the commentator for UPW as well as IWR. So, check that out. And he's the official for F5 Wrestling as well. Davison Sarai, the IPW champion and, official sponsor of Rasslin Rage. And, of course, PKSA Karate Port Huron. And you can find all their links down in the description. Chuck, my friend, dude, I wish you luck is there a belt or is there a cup that you guys get or anything for this tournament coming up?
Yeah, I don't know.
Good kick in the ass. I mean, what?
Maybe a little Post-it note that says you won. Good job. I'm sure they'll have something.
I hope so.
If they got something, I haven't seen it yet. I'm sure they'll have something.
I mean, you got to come up with something really good. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
It's like, could you have somebody 3D print something or make a resin statue or something? I don't know, dude. But it would have to be super awesome, man.
Just put my name on it now.
Yeah, there you go. Put his name on it, give it to him, and we'll call it good. So
yeah.
Pics on the Facebook hot censored. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. So before we get out of here, I just want to shout some people out that have joined us tonight because that's one of the things that when you do, we will shout you out. So Josh Boost, thank you. The Spyder, Zeke the ref, the guy that gets thrown around and beat up a lot. Brett Estes, I think I said that right. Estes. Tara Roberts, hello to you. Colton Ryder Holland, hello to you too. F5 Wrestling, hey, what's up? And I think that is it in the chat. That's all the people that commented in the chat. If you are watching the replay, please leave a comment. I know you can't comment in the live chat, but maybe ask Chuck a question and I'll ask him and then comment back underneath it or reply to you or something like that.
Are we going to take calls now, or what are we doing now?
Well, there's no calls, man. We don't do
calls.
No, we don't do calls on this one, dude.
No calls.
Yeah, I was gonna do that before, but it's such a pain in the ass trying to manipulate,
I'm sure.
control the video and then tap it in. Yeah, because there's platforms that do that, but see, I'm cheap and I don't pay all that money for that shit. Like, I have figured all that shit out on my own so that I don't have to pay for it. The only thing I pay for is to host my podcast on Podbean, or our podcast, I should say. And then I also pay for a subscription to the video conferencing software that we are using right now so that I can go more than an hour, because it cuts you off at a half hour, which, if it's free, which is cool. But I mean, we could do like multiple half-hour sessions, but that'd be kind of stupid. Just not cool. But dude, thank you so much for joining me, man. Did you know who's coming in? You know who's coming in tomorrow?
Mark Ross.
Mark Ross is making his return to professional wrestling. So,
good.
Mark is a friend of mine. I've known him pretty much since the beginning of his wrestling career. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's somebody that has had some influence. I've told the story before. He's had some influence on Rasslin Rage in the direction that we took eventually. And I told the story the other night, and I'll just say it one more time. He gave me a piece of advice, and I'm going to tell you what that piece of advice is right here. He told me that we all got to help each other, and that we're all in this for everybody. We're not in this for ourselves. And
solid advice.
Yeah, solid advice, and it changed the trajectory of Rasslin Rage. And at that time, Rasslin Rage was still kind of covering feds and doing all, a little bit of everything. And then, then around that time, I said, okay, done. It's all Michigan indie wrestling now, and it's been pretty successful that way. So I think we're going to keep it that way. So I'm looking forward to that. And then on Friday, Jonte Keith stops by, the guy that just beat DBA defending his F5 championship.
Ooh,
right, and he's going to be taking on the BBW champion. I don't know who the guy. I forget. I got the graphic, but I got to look at it. It's Sin's organization, right?
Okay,
it's his champion. So that's who he's going against. So we're going to have him on Friday because he's never been on here, and we're going to have a conversation about a lot of things. Because he's one of them guys. He's got some shit to say, and I want to listen. I'm going to listen good. So, any last words before we get out of here, Mr. Stein?
Just thank you for having me. Thank you to everybody that's in the chat with us live, and thanks to everybody for all the support over the years. Absolutely. I really appreciate it, and I'm going to keep on going as long as I can.
Right. Now, I forgot. Do you have a Pro Wrestling Tees, right? .com?
Yes.
Okay, so, search for Chuck Stein on ProWrestlingTees.com. And then
Brainbuster Tees also.
And on Brainbusters, because I'm thinking about starting my own Brainbusters. I have a Pro Wrestling Tees, but I'm thinking about doing a Brainbusters now because they got some cool merch over there, dude.
Yeah, it's more than just t-shirts.
Right, and they got the beanies over there, and they're fucking embroidered, dude.
Yeah.
That's pimp. Embroidery's not cheap.
No, it's not.
I went to Soul Taker the one day. He's over there. He's got them hats, right? The beanie, they're just the regular hats, and they're all embroidered. I'm like, motherfucker, where'd you get this? That shit ain't cheap. You go, Alibaba. I'm like,
hey, I got I don't see one. I got embroidered beanies.
Do you?
Detroit Punk ones, yeah.
No, that shit ain't cheap, man. So if you want to get yourself a cool Detroit Punk beanie, I'm gonna have to get me one. I like beanies. I wear them at work all the time. So I'm balding, You know, I'm receding, and I get a little cold. My shop is temperature controlled because we deal with parts that are tempered and all that stuff. So
right.
Yeah, that sucks. So again, thank you, sir. Everybody out there, we'll see you tomorrow back here at 7 for Mark Ross, and then obviously back here on Sunday or Friday at 7 for Jonte, and then Sunday at 7 for Rasslin Rage, where we will hope to have most of the results, if not all the results, of everything that's going down this weekend here in the Great Lakes state of Michigan. Chuck, thank you, brother. You're going to have yourself a good night. Everybody out there, have yourself a good night, and we will see you later. Peace.
It's going down.
This is Rasslin Rage.
Do it now.
This is Rasslin Rage.
Scream it out loud.
This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade.
It's going down.
This is Rasslin Rage.